You know what's really interesting is the pen I grabbed to write down "Painkillers" by Cannibal Ox.
Yeah.
Can you see this?
No, it's not in focus.
I've got a whole bunch of pens here. I just reached and grabbed one. I stole it from Carton
I was
Brewing.
going to say it's orange. That'd be a carton pen. All right, everybody, welcome out to the log room. It is Wednesday. Sorry, no, it's Tuesday, not Wednesday. We used to do it on Wednesday. We don't anymore.
No, not anymore.
Not anymore.
You're confused because you're changing the sportscast this week.
I'm changing the sportscast this week, yes. It's Tuesday, February 23rd, 2021. Jersey Johnny coming at you. And with me, as always, is none other than Mr. Beer Samurai. Say hello, Mr. Samurai.
Hey, guys. Happy National Banana Bread Day.
National Banana Bread Day. There's a day dedicated to banana bread.
These, I was going to make banana bread. These aren't quite ready yet.
No.
They're still, as far as I'm concerned, edible.
Well, even in banana bread, they're edible, aren't they? I hope they are.
Well, yeah. I mean, edible this way. You know, we open them upside down. You're supposed to do it this way, and I don't know why we do it this way. Yeah.
Gotcha. So they're good for banana bread when you peel them and they melt out of the peel. That's when they're good for banana bread, right?
Or when you can't separate the peel from the goo.
Or it's just goo inside. Like you pick it up and it falls apart in your hand. That's good banana bread. Bananas.
When you can squeeze the peel like toothpaste into the ball.
Squeeze the banana out of the peel. There you go. Cut the end off. Squeeze it out. Perfect.
Okay. I don't know what that's going to do to this first beer I'm drinking, though.
Well, that was good for you. You always got to. Dave always has to eat something. Anybody? Always has to be eating at the beginning of the show.
Well, because I forget to get dinner beforehand, and we know what happens if I don't eat before I drink.
Right. This is true. Yes, we've seen that. We've seen that a lot. So, just want to take a minute to wish a couple of happy birthdays out there. Happy birthday to Jessica. Her birthday is tomorrow.
The lovely Jess.
The lovely Jessica. Her birthday is tomorrow, and my daughter Rachel.
Happy birthday.
Rachel her birthday is Thursday. So I wanted to get them mentioned.
What time? What time?
What time what? What time was she born?
Yeah.
She was born at 4:35 a.m.
Oh, geez. Are you really going to get before 4:35 a.m. to text her like you do with every...
No, she's the only one I don't.
Okay.
I just text her when I wake up in the morning. That's it. She knows that. She knows she's the only one that doesn't get the exact time.
And she's probably thankful.
Oh, absolutely. Although she'd sleep right through it anyway and just see it in the morning. That's pretty much part of the reason. So we should get started because I really want to open a beer, and I'm sure you do too.
Yeah.
So why don't we bring in our guest today? Our guest today, this week, is none other than the man himself, Mr. John Holl. Let's welcome him to the show.
The man himself.
This is the biggest crawl I've seen, the biggest label I've seen for any guest.
Journalist, beer writer, author, and co-host of Steal This Beer.
There's other things I could have put on there too.
No, you guys really nailed it. That's I'm honored that you distilled my life into two brief lines of text on a computer screen. So listen, thanks for having me, guys. Before we begin, I need to make sure that you're aware that there is this group out there, and it's called the North American Guild of Beer Writers. Okay. And it's an organization that sort of fosters beer journalism. Okay. And every year they have an awards show. Or a group of awards and everything, and they hand out some plaques and stuff. But there's a podcast category, and I have to say that based on that stellar banter that you guys started the show off with, right, you need to apply this year because I mean you're a shoo-in for like a participant trophy.
Yeah. Oh God.
We get the coveted. We'll win the coveted Good Try Award.
Yeah, boy, the A for effort.
There it is.
Maybe an A plus.
Thanks for having me. Also, I mean, it was a little bit weird being on a podcast where there's sirens at the beginning. So way to be original.
And they're talking about big toes.
Absolutely, yeah. That's actually a band from Denver, Colorado. That one of the guys on our sports podcast is actually the one of the writers and the bass player and lead singer. It's actually him singing too. It's a song called "The Big Toe." So the theme to the sports podcast is also by them, different song. But
so I've always used my name professionally, and most people will call me John Holl, like my first and last name, like it's a nickname. But I feel a little bit weird using my actual name being on this show with you guys with your fancy nom de plumes.
Well, at least my second one is actually my name, but
maybe by the end of the show we'll create one for you.
I'm open to suggestions.
We can work on something.
The only person who's not allowed to try to put a nickname on me is Mr. Carton.
Oh yeah, no, because you don't want that.
No.
Has he attempted to try a couple of times?
He has a few times, and we've had stern words behind the scenes.
I'm going into my first beer, and you know how I love to match my glassware.
Absolutely. Our producer Brian says, "Cheers to the man himself, Mr. John Holl." There you go.
Brian's your producer?
No, not really, but we call him that.
We humor him.
We humor him. He's our top fan on the Facebook page. So we
cool. That's a participation trophy if I've ever heard of one.
He's also
Mr. John Holl is the perfect nickname. He said, "There you go."
It's a mouthful, but yeah, sure. I'll allow it.
He's also our highest paid employee.
Absolutely. Yeah, nobody makes more money than he does.
No,
so that's the important part.
Or any less.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So
what's your first beer?
My first beer is actually, I'm going to drink Sprinkles. It's from some brewery up in Kettlehead. That's right. The crawl came in handy there. And I'm actually going to put it in that. I'm going to put it in a Narragansett glass because I'm packing everything.
I was going to say you don't have a Kettlehead glass.
I don't think so.
Holy crap, look at this. You guys have a crawl like your CNN or something down here with the breaking news of Sprinkles.
This is what John...
I thought I was looking at the weather report for a second, and then I was like, 5% chance of Berliner Weiss.
Oh, that would be out. We'd be doing this outside all the time.
That would be an interesting precipitation.
Yeah. Cloudy with a chance of Berliner Weiss.
Cloudy with a chance of Berliner Weiss.
You beat me to it by a second. Good. Good. So now that we're all calibrated comedy wise, I feel like we can really start the show now.
Well, no, we can't start the show until John puts some liquid in his face.
I'm going to put some liquid in my face. I'm going to be drinking from Treehouse Brewing, Force of Will. It is here. Let me put the crawl up for that one.
Yeah,
8.5% double IPA. I'm kicking it off with an 8.5% double IPA from Treehouse, and
we don't mess around on the show, John.
Well, help me out here, fellas. I was under the impression that I was coming on a show called The Lager Room.
I know.
Oh, we don't drink lagers on this show. Augie's the only person who drinks lagers on this show.
We drink we drink everything but. No. We've
had
lagers.
I was grossly misled.
We've had lagers from time to time. If
that was
Augie,
intentional.
If Augie told you that, no, it's the it's the opposite effect, if you will. No, we have lagers. Just today we don't go by any rhyme or reason. So today I'm drinking a double IPA and Dave's drinking a Berliner Weiss.
It's weird. You guys are almost suggesting that you don't have a script for this, but I mean it's state.
Oh no! If I could pull the script off of the screen and show it to you right here, we have a list of the categories to follow here, but
the script is usually
throw it away.
Actually, if we ever do a script, but the whole thing about it is it's John's got the sports cast as well, so it's a double entendre there: locker room. And I tell him I have to explain this. I have to explain this to too many people.
Too many, yes. Lager room.
It's too clever, John. It's too clever.
I try
by half. Yeah. Good Lord.
So anyway, what are you drinking?
Smart sometimes.
Well, we try. Well, you think you are sometimes, but
while you guys were talking about banana bread, I've already gotten through my first beer, so strap in, kids. And I finished a standby Pilsner, which is by Rockwell Brewing Company in Missouri. John Moxie is the brewer there. This made a top 25 best beers I tasted for Wine Enthusiast list last year. It's a hell of a lot of fun to drink. I recommend it. But now I'm moving on to the Dovetail Brewery in Chicago, and this is their Helles, which is just
very nice.
Gorgeous.
Remember I told you there was only one article of John's I ever read? He just referenced it.
Was it?
The top 25 at Wine Enthusiast?
Yeah, that was a great. I enjoyed that.
That's the only article of John's you've ever read.
I think so.
Cool.
I don't read.
Guys, thanks for having me. I'm feeling really welcome right now.
I've read more.
So in this little Facebook thing that you spammed out to everybody today about having me on, like this was a big deal, having your show, which it's not. I loved that you referenced my work at both Ale Street News and Beer Connoisseur, which are like 20 years ago. And those places don't exist anymore. I was half expecting you guys to pull out my spectacular summer of maybe 2005 run at Pizza Today, which was
I actually thought about putting Pizza Today in there.
Yeah, dedicated
I actually did think about putting it.
Yeah, all things pizza restaurants, which was actually a really fun. That was actually a fun place to do some freelance work for, and they would put on a conference every year in Vegas called PizzaCon. And it was held at the same time that the beer distributors put on their conference in Vegas. And this is maybe, I don't know, a decade ago or less. And I got passes to go do a presentation at this PizzaCon. And you just walk around and it's all pizza ovens and people handing out free slices of pizza to show how superior their ovens are so that you, a pizzeria owner, would buy their ovens. And it's like going to the beer conference where they're selling mash tuns and fermenters and things like that. But it was so much pizza and it was so delightful. It was one of my favorite work trips to Vegas to go to PizzaCon. So, but you guys chose to pick Ale Street News instead, which never did anything for me. So, let alone Tony Forder never bought me a slice of pizza.
Tony, seriously. Tony, if you're listening, there's always time to buy John a piece of pizza. I mean, just
you got some making up to do, and there's interest on that.
I love
three pies. 3 pies, right?
What's that?
I said if there's interest on it, then he's probably up to 3 whole pies at this point.
3 pies, yeah. Tony, I mean, John will probably, take, buy him a pie, buy him 1 pie, get him a couple slices.
Yeah, Anthony, if you're listening, buy me a pie. Yeah, thank you,
Mr. Porter. Get John some pizza, please. So I'll give Tony a call.
Sorry, what were we talking about, guys?
We were
locker room swag, apparently.
Locker room swag.
Yeah.
Yes.
Do you guys have socks yet? Socks are all the rage.
We have not made socks. Yeah, everybody's making socks. What is up with that? Seriously, I'm just curious. I
don't understand it. The only thing that I can there's a lot of breweries that are trying to push their merch line, and socks are being really featured right now. And the only thing that I can think of is it's a pandemic thing that people are home now,
sweatpants, pajama bottoms,
sweatpants inside, and so you already got your comfy beer T-shirts, but it's just that extra branding, and as you look over, your beer tummy. To see just the very tips of your toes, you're like, oh, I should have another Bolero snort because they have one of those, those bowls at the very tips, like where the usual gold toe is.
Where the gold toe is,
it's now Scott Wells.
It's Scott's face eating a chicken parm.
Nice.
It's Scott's face on one, and the other sock is actually a chicken parm.
Yeah.
So there you go.
An actual chicken parm.
Chicken parm.
Nice and cozy.
I do like listening to the show for how much Bolero gets beat up on. Usually I just do it in private text chains with the Bolero employees, so it's really nice to hear it out over broadcast.
Oh, wait till we have them on.
Wait till they actually come on. So, which should be anytime soon. Scott's picking a day. Bob's debating whether or not he will have time to come on. So,
you
need
them on together so you can have the full Scott experience.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I even want Adrian in there for shits and giggles.
Well, sure, for talent.
Yeah, well, there you go.
and some fantastic tattoos.
There you go. Yeah, he can show us the ink. But in any event, well, let's talk about you for a little bit. Besides Ale Street and Beer Connoisseur and
Wine Enthusiast. Who else? Let's have you written for?
Let's go back. You want
to go back? Oh, geez, he does have a script.
What started the whole? Obviously, I'm sure. What came first, the beer, the love of beer, or the writing?
Well, the writing. I mean, I started in news when I was 16, and I actually didn't drink until
17.
Well, I mean, probably closer to 19. I went away to college to I went up to Westchester County for a year, and was at a school called Iona which used to have this whole thing like the proof is in the people. At Iona, they had this whole radio jingle that would play, and I went there and I saw the people and I saw the proof and I bounced out. So it was fine. But there's this great bar called Characters.
Characters.
Yeah, and you didn't even need a fake ID to get in, which was tremendous. And my cousin had graduated from the school maybe about 2 years before I got there, and was a bouncer at this said bar and knew the owner really, really well. And so the first night that we mustered up the courage as freshmen to go into the bar, I go to the back table and I ask for a guy named Jimmy, and Jimmy didn't suffer fools. And, freshmen didn't talk to Jimmy. And so I was just about getting ready to get kicked out because, nobody talks to Jimmy. Nobody looks at Jimmy. The goons are telling me. And I said, well, and I dropped my cousin's name. And he said that I should come and see you. And the next thing I know, I'm sitting at a table with a bunch of Westchester County guys who are just, drinking Killian's Red like it's going out of style. And that was one of my, my first bar experiences solo, and boy, it was it's been a crazy ride ever since.
That's awesome. We got
it's not awesome, it's
that's an awesome story. Scott Porcino says he's an Iona man. He's from
Congratulations, you're a Gale.
He's from New Rochelle. He went to Characters for years.
It was a great bar. And now it's a car wash. They paved Paradise and put up a parking lot.
There you go.
It was a terrible, terrible, terrible bar, and there's not much else that you can say about it. But I have such fond memories of drinking on North Avenue. You're a Gale. I said that, Scott. We're all very proud of you. Like
he pronounced the L. Don't worry,
Gale.
It's like a poor man's Notre Dame's Fighting Irish.
There you go.
But the proof is in the people.
The proof is in the people.
And by the associated property, the people are pudding.
Yeah. So anyway, I was in news for a bunch of years, and I covered crime and politics and a whole bunch of stuff. And I got to travel, and I started going to breweries when I would travel the country, writing about breaking news, and discovered that I really liked beer. And started writing about it because there's cool stories to tell. Like it wasn't just I want to be a professional drunk and get paid to write words. This was really more about there were cool stories that were happening on multiple levels. There are economic stories that were happening. There were revitalization stories that were happening from towns and cities, agricultural stories, entrepreneurial stories, and there's just like a lot to cover. And so that's what I did. And then one thing led to another, and I started working for magazines and doing podcasts, and now I'm here with you guys. And so when I wake up tomorrow, I have no idea how my career can get any better. But I'll try.
I mean, once you get to the pinnacle,
got this on your resume now.
Yeah. I mean, now that I've been in the locker room and we give the post-game press conference, it's gonna be great. Yeah.
Well, absolutely.
Any of these stories you wrote really tug at your heartstring and almost bring tears to your eye. Anything that comes to mind? Is it possible to bring tears to your eyes?
No. Sure. No, I shouldn't joke about that because this past year, there has been so much going on with the pandemic. There has been so much that has come to light after the murder of George Floyd. There's been so much of what's been happening in the world around us that has directly impacted breweries, or breweries have played a role. But it's been the real financial struggles. It's been the real heartache of a lot of brewers during this pandemic. Where it tugs at my heartstrings, to call somebody up and say, well, how's it going? And they're like, we're not sure if we're going to be able to pay rent this month, so we have a contingency plan for the first time ever. Or, I had to let everybody go. Sure. And it's just me and the brewery now, and it's never been more lonely. I host a weekly show called Drink Beer, Think Beer, which is a podcast. And towards the end of the year in 2020, I think it was my last show of 2020, I had a couple of bar owners on. I had Polly Watts of the Avenue Pub in New Orleans, Michael Roper of Hopleaf in Chicago, and Chris Black of the Great Falling Rock Tap House in Denver. And all three of them right now in their own individual states are in various stages of extreme worry and, living on a shoestring, if the shoestring exists at all. And Chris Black was, telling us on the show that, he plays the music really loud in the bar when he's there alone, just so that there feels like there's some life in it. Sure. And so, there's been stories, that have come around, in the past. I mean, a couple of years ago, there was a kid who was killed when a keg he was cleaning exploded up in New Hampshire. And, I talked to the family, and, we did coverage around that. And, there's all these, various things. Real life happens at breweries. And so if you're just going to cover, whatever shade of haze is in the glass, or how much Citra versus Mosaic went into an IPA, or the Skittle Brow that Wells is making, you're missing out on the larger story of life. No,
absolutely.
And so for me, that's always been the real draw of covering this industry is finding the stories beyond just like, ooh, this is a bottle cap and a half, or, like whatever, kind of nonsense people are checking into. All we have to do is look around, and bars are filled with interesting people with interesting stories to tell. And you just have to ask the question and write it down. And it's no joke. Like I'll make fun of, everything else that we do from this point on, but like, it is a real privilege to do what I do. And I remind myself of that daily. And, it's a cool industry to cover. It's a flawed industry to cover. And there's still a lot of stories that haven't been told yet. And I'm going to keep doing it as long as people let me. So.
Gotcha. I just made a note here. Read more John Holl.
Yeah, it's Holl, by the way. Yeah, what's some of this Goose Island stuff that keeps showing up?
Haul. It's not
yes,
that.
Exactly. Yeah.
But no, absolutely. No, you're absolutely right. Everything you said, without a doubt. I've been in a lot of facets of the industry, and the stories that you hear, and not even including any current ones with what's going on with the pandemic and everything else. But it's about the community. It's about, this industry is about the social aspect and the community of everything about it. I call it co-opetition. There's no competition in this, as far as, sure there is to some extent, but it's one big community, and everybody's story in of that is awesome to hear and know and communicate with everybody. So yeah, absolutely. I totally get what you're saying.
And also,
thanks, Jersey Johnny.
You are very welcome, Mr. John Holl.
We call him. I've got Writer Boy John as a potential nickname.
Writer Boy John.
Writer Boy John. Yeah. I'm writing down potential nicknames as we go here, and I'll just throw them out as we go along.
Sure, why not?
But no, thanks, John knows. John knows a lot of friends. A lot of my friends I've met at bars. I've met at John and I don't know if we met at a bar or a brewery. It was either Carton or Cloverleaf. We're not sure. We do have a basic time frame of when we possibly met, but there's been, I've never, shy to going to a bar or brewery alone, because, like you said, there's interesting stories there. You just got to talk to the people.
Absolutely.
What's so funny is I've been writing about beer now for maybe 15 years. It's probably a little bit longer if I actually do the math. And I've actually been out with other writers who cover this space before the pandemic. And I was sort of, I hit 40 last year. And so I've been sort of doing some reflective stuff, especially since everybody's like, you're 40 and not 55. And so, but I was having these awkward conversations with like friends of mine who have been friends of mine for a decade now. And I was like, where was the first place that we met? Do you remember? And without fail, all of them were like, oh yeah, it was at such and such event or such and such bar. And I was like, sure, of course, I'm going to believe you, because I have no memory of that whatsoever, which totally tracks for me when I'm out in the beer world. So,
which is funny, because I was trying to remember the first time I met John. Was it at Hunapu the first time we met?
Have we met?
Yeah, we've met. I was pouring for, yeah, I remember at least once. Yeah, I was pouring for. I think we had a conversation.
Pouring for who? Who were you pouring for?
I'll give you three guesses.
Your cohort on Steal This Beer. We were right next to.
Does Justin Kennedy own a brewery now?
He was pouring for Justin Kennedy. Yeah,
I was pouring for Justin Kennedy.
You stole my joke. I couldn't get it out quick.
I'm trying. We're trying not to evoke the Augie, but the
no, you can evoke Augie. That's fine. If you say his name 3 times, he should like automatically shows up.
He did that in the last show. Unfortunately, yeah, he did that in the last
week.
Yeah, but no, I was pouring for Carton. We were right next to.
I'm teasing. That was a really great time that we had in Florida at Hunapoo Day.
We did good.
Sure, why not?
Sure,
I can.
You address smartly. I'll tell you that.
Everywhere I go. By the way, guys, thanks for getting dressed up for having me on. Like, I actually I showered. Like, I got the mullet that's coming in. Like, comes back a little bit. I put on like a real shirt for the first time. And I like that you guys just rolled out of bed.
Is that a stain? Did you spill?
Yeah, probably. Oh no, this is the microphone. Come on.
The microphone. I really need to put these on every now and then. I really thought that you had a beer stain on your shirt.
No, it's. I mean, probably, but I think that I've done Hunapoo twice. If memory serves, and there was one time that I had to leave like halfway through it
because some guy was bothering you that was introduced to you.
Yeah, at the carton booth, I couldn't get my
T-shirt.
Boat, and
well, we didn't bring boat that year.
No,
he always brings boat. Maybe not to pour, to drink.
I always bring cans with me though.
Yeah, no, Hunapoo is a fun time, and I'm obviously teasing, but yeah.
Well, I hesitate to mention the time that you and I were drinking the same beer and you pulled me into your video at GABF one year that you were walking down the one aisle, but
what did I do?
You had a cameraman that was following you, and I was walking, and we walked away with the same beer, and you pulled me in and talked about the beer for 30 seconds on the video that you were making.
No shit, really?
Yeah, you gave it 2 bottle caps from what I understand.
So there was... Was that when I was with the documentary film crew?
Yes.
Okay,
like 5 years ago.
So that was the single most ridiculous thing that I have ever done beer professionally. So there's this group, and I think the thing is called like Brewmasters or Beer Masters. It's up on Amazon now. Okay. It's up on Amazon Prime, and the story ostensibly follows 2 people who are trying to either study for Cicerone or open up their own breweries. I don't remember. But they contacted me to do this, to be in this documentary. And Ray Daniels of Cicerone is in it, and Randy Mosher is in it, and all of the, Papazian's in it, like all of these, like fairly important people. And then I'm in it. And they called me up, and they wanted to interview me, and I lived in Jersey City at the time. And they said, well, we'd love to come to your house and set up for the afternoon, and we'll ask you a bunch of questions, and then we'll edit it into this documentary. And I was like, well, how about I just meet you at a bar, and like we can do it there. They're like, oh, we really want like the intimate experience. So I was like, fine, all right, come to the house. So my wife and I, at the time, my daughter wasn't born yet, and we have a dog named Pepper who is a pain in the ass and doesn't like strangers. And so they set up in my living room, and they sit me down on my couch, and you see the apartment behind us. They've moved all the furniture around, and it's lighting, and it's camera, and it's a director, and it's a whole thing. And my dog will not settle down, like at all. And she's barking, and she's trying to lunge at the key grip. And, the whole thing is just ridiculous. And so, yeah, it was a very fancy production.
We need a key grip, John.
We need to get a key grip, yeah. Brian, work on that. Brian,
and so the only way that Pepper would settle down is if she got on the couch with me and sat next to me the entire time. And so they're asking me questions about the history of beer in America and the current scene and, advice for small brewers. And Pepper is laying down next to me for most of this. She's just asleep on my lap like the whole time. She's like a 30-pound mutt, so it's not like a little pocket dog. It's, she's got some substance to her. The only clip that they use in this Brewmasters, I think it's called Brewmasters, this thing. I actually forget at this point. But the only clip that makes the cut is when I'm speaking something nonsensical in my mind, and the dog sits up and yawns and looks at me and then looks at the camera. And that's it. That's the only time that I show up out of like 9 hours of filming with these guys, including filming at the Great American Beer Festival, where they mic me up and they're having me walk around to booths. And I have all of these brewers like coming up to me and being like, did you hear about like so-and-so fuckwad over there and what he did? And like Maureen Ogle comes up to me. She's a wonderful writer and a beer historian, and she a historian who writes about beer. And she comes up to me and she's like, I scored some great weed today. I'm feeling really good. And I'm covering the mic and I'm like, Maureen, like you need to be really quiet right now. So they didn't use any of that, but the only clip that they use in this weird little video is of my dog sitting up and yawning and then looking at me. And That's so great. This thing premiered in Chicago, maybe about 3 years later. And all of a sudden my Twitter, I'm falling asleep at about 11 o'clock one night. And all of a sudden my Twitter starts blowing up saying John Holl's dog was the best thing in this movie. What are you guys talking about? I love it. So anyway, yeah. So Brewmasters, it's on Amazon Prime if you have it.
Wasn't Brewmaster Calagione's show?
Maybe it was called something else. Maybe it was called like Beer Man or
Matt says,
correct. Brewmaster. Thanks, Matt.
Matt has been vying for the producer position
role. Yeah,
we've got a battle royale going.
We've got a healthy competition between it. Yeah, absolutely. Well, I do have to apologize. It might have been my appearance that made them cut all the footage from GABF. So.
Why? What did you do?
Well, you pulled me in and we discuused the beer that we were both drinking.
What was the beer that we did?
I forget. We walked away from it was a brewery. It was in the Oregon section.
Cool. I honestly remember almost none of that because it was so awkward and so terrible. And Johnny, did we know each other at that point, or was this like me just like randomly finding you?
No, we'd met before that.
Okay. Yeah. So it was like an actual like okay. Like I took it as you were almost somebody familiar. Please talk to me for a minute. Because I have almost no memory, and it's not like an intoxication thing. It was such a weird, traumatic, and forced element thing that they're just like, walk around and be natural. And I have people like talking shit about brewers next door, or Maureen like saying, let's go get high. And I'm like, you don't see the microphone that's on me or that camera crew that's over there, but we are being watched, man. Like this is like the feds right now. It was just completely unnatural. But honestly, but go support them because they made a film.
This is true.
Well, and Matt Patensky has watched it.
And he said something else. Actually, the one on Amazon follows Salmon Dogfish Brewers. I think that's the show that Big Beer squashed on. Matty, okay, what was that last word?
Here's the thing. I've heard that before. I've heard people say, Anheuser-Busch or Coors didn't like that Dogfish Head had a platform and et cetera, et cetera. The honest to God truth is if you go back and watch that Dogfish Head show, it wasn't very good.
Discovery. That's
Discovery.
Not Discovery.
It wasn't very good. It was during this era where every industry had a reality show,
right?
And so there was like a barber in Milwaukee, and people would follow. It's like, is Sharon going to get her haircut in time? And then they'd break to a commercial and they'd come back and be like, yep, Sharon got to her job interview and didn't land the job. Like whatever it was. So they had this Dogfish Head thing, but everything was set up where it was really difficult to watch, where it was, oh my gosh, we need to bottle this beer and get it onto the truck and get out to delivery, by the end of the day. And then a bottle breaks on the line and there's this dramatic music and it's like, what's going to happen? And then they come back from commercial and they've swept it up and the line keeps running because that's what happens in a brewery when that happens.
Right.
So like it was just kind of forced and like it wasn't a lot of fun to watch from like a reality TV standpoint, from like a brewery insider thing. Like, sure, it was fun, but
beyond that, it wasn't.
There wasn't a there.
Well, the most riveting part that I found of the whole series was watching his staff's jaws get fatigued chewing corn and spitting into buckets to make chicha. That is good television, right?
That's good television, right?
But is it?
That's good.
But is it?
No,
it depends on what your definition of good television is.
That's the thing, right? Like if we're sitting around the EBF, if we're sitting around, here right now and doing it, sure, that's kind of fun. But like watching somebody chew and spit on your television,
not so much.
No.
What'd you think of James and Martin's thing that they did on what was it, Esquire Network?
I didn't get that channel, so I didn't watch it.
The Brew Dogs, you never saw it?
Yeah, no, I don't pay for that level of cable.
Gotcha. I think they're all available right now. All the ones they did on YouTube. If you just watch them all.
No, the most unrealistic one. And hang on, because I need a beer.
So I'm pulling my second too.
There you go.
All right. So honestly, the worst offender in this whole thing has been the Netflix series.
Okay. Yeah, I got you.
The Bruise Brothers.
Yep.
And what pisses me off about that show, and there's a lot that pisses me off about that show. Around the same time, there was a wine show that came out that was, or like a mini movie or a long movie or like a 2-part series or something like that. And it was about a black guy who was discovering wine and reconciling that with his family, and like trying to grow up and raise up by the bootstraps and that kind of thing. And it was all done through the specter of wine. Like he was like chasing like a master sommelier kind of thing. And it was this fun, inspirational story that was also educational and gave wine the platform that wine has really always demanded in the United States post-Prohibition, where it's white linen napkins, it's fancy restaurants, it has like an air of sophistication about it. Right. And at the same time, Netflix puts out a show where people are putting dildos on the bar, or they're like giving dogs and like putting, LSD in things, and they're going for the cheap joke. And I interviewed one of the co-founders of that show, the co-showrunners, and these guys did The League, which obviously through the locker room, you guys know all about fantasy football and fantasy sports and everything. I imagine you guys talk about that in the locker room. But so these guys know these. So funny, or these guys know surreal and absurdist and how to do things the right way, but they were so crass with beer, and they went for the drinking dog or the cheap sex joke or whatever. And that's what pissed me off about it, is that beer, like you can make fun of beer, you can have fun with beer, but like you don't always have to do that. And that's what they did. And so
I'm gonna scratch off one of his nicknames here then.
Dildo on the bar. Yeah.
No. Fairly important hole.
Fairly important.
Easy. That's fellas. I mean, it's still early, but
it's HOLL.
HOLL. Hall.
Yeah.
Hall.
We'll see where it goes, guys.
There you go.
Right. But that's the thing. Like, there's this. I think Bourdain.
Being canceled due to pressure by a big beer company, Bourdain had the same production company.
Maybe
he did.
I mean,
he also didn't like the production company much.
Again, I've seen people say that, and I've seen that out there. Whether or not the last one, it's a numbers game. I mean, it shows get canceled if the numbers aren't there, and if they can't attract the right amount of advertisers. And by the last one, like I don't know if there were a lot of people missing the show or not. Like I'd be curious to see the last one. Just from a historical perspective, and it was a fun peek behind the scenes, but between a show like that, the Dogfish Head show, and then you have Bruise Brothers, this really rough go of having beer as commonplace, or beer as the way that we all know it, as something that brings people together, or that can be a unifier, or that can, explore culinary depths, or that can explore agriculture or business or things like that. Sure. The majority of people still think of beer as this sort of jokey thing. And that's because we get Bud Light commercials where they're throwing people off of cliffs, or there's talking frogs, or there's, the mountains turn blue, or whatever it is. The advertising like isn't selling it, and craft doesn't have the advertisement, the budgets to get out to the people in the same way. So that's why craft is 13% of the overall beer marketplace right now. Mm-hmm. And those of us who drink it, we know, but for everybody else, like it's not there. So we get, fart jokes.
Right. So, but speaking of drinking it, what did you open? What are you pouring there?
That's an excellent question. So I co-host this podcast called Steal This Beer with a guy named Augie Parton. Oh, cool.
Yeah, you've got one of the glasses behind you.
I do. I have a black glass behind me. Yeah, it's.
And John's got one right there.
Thanks. Look at live shows. I don't even have one of those. That's pretty cool. I like that, John.
This was the one from Barcade when Mitch.
That was a great night. But on the show we have a producer, and his name is Justin Kennedy, and he created a beer style called Italian. And so I'm drinking this Italian Pilsner from a brewery called Westbound and Down, which is in Colorado.
Yep.
And as an homage to Justin Kennedy.
Keep on
Westbound and Down. Yeah, they're a good brewery. It's a good brewery.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers. What are you?
I just opened a deciduous on Paradise Moho. So this is, and I had to pour it into my Neshaminy Creek glass. So, hey Joe.
Cheers to Joe.
Hey Joe. And but the thing is, I did want to. So this is one of those, cocktail beers. And John, I wanted to get your take on what you think about this kind of movement of making a cocktail into a beer, some of these tropical drinks,
or a beer into a cocktail.
Well, it's
another story, but
a whole other story. But we've been seeing a lot of these come out where, this one's a hurricane, apparently. I thought that was a glass. I didn't know it was a drink. But they've been doing Mai Tai beers and stuff like that. Have you had a lot of these?
I've had some. And there's been some cool ones, and there's been some misses. I know they keep coming up on the show. Bolero Snort did a mojito with a mojito.
Mojito.
I'm so embarrassed. I'm so embarrassed to say that out loud, but for journalistic integrity, I feel like too. I thought it was actually kind of a lot of fun to drink. Flying Dog did one called Orange Crush. Which is based on a Maryland cocktail, which was also kind of fun to drink. And there's another tiki drink that Ecliptic out in Oregon did. And so for this Wine Enthusiast piece, which I think is probably up on enthusiast.net or .com or whatever. Yeah, Wine Enthusiast, I should say. I should probably know the website of the place that I work. It's winemag.com. It is.
John, I'll tell you, I don't know the website address for this.
No, that's fine.
Show.
But I got together with Kara Newman, who is the spirits editor there. I'm the beer editor. She's the spirits editor, and we, talked about these various cocktail and beer concoctions, and it was fun. I think there's some breweries that are doing it in such a way that you lose all of the beer essence, and that to me is not so much fun. And then there's other breweries that are doing things that are retaining the beer soul, but also really sort of putting their own twist on a cocktail. Because if you think about a cocktail, right? If you go to one bar, it's going to taste one way. If you go to another bar, it's going to taste another way. It's bartender's interpretation. It's going to be the spirits that they use. Like, there's no uniformity to it. It's not Budweiser. And so a couple of years ago, and I'm probably going back 15, maybe even 18 years now, but Garrett Oliver at Brooklyn Brewery did a beer called the Concoction, which was based on the cocktail known as the penicillin. Yep. And the penicillin it's a tough cocktail to drink if you're not into it. And don't ask me the ingredients because I just don't remember at this point. But the beer was the same way. There's people who really either loved it or couldn't eat it, and there was no middle ground to it. And it was just like the cocktail and the way that people drank the cocktail. Mm-hmm. And that I thought was a great achievement to at least get the same essence, ethos, whatever behind it. So,
there was
they
did a few years after that. Actually, it was probably a while after that, maybe like 8 years after that. They did an old fashioned, which
I probably have a bottle of that over in the cellar.
I thought they actually nailed. That was actually
that was really good. Well, all I know is this one. I really need a small umbrella for this one. It's a little bit of crushed ice.
Sand and flip flops. You can.
The thing that I really want to explore though with those, and if I, back when I used to travel to breweries and people would be like, oh, this is our such and such with such and such, or this is our interpretation of whatever. I would always see if they had just the normal base beer around, because like you need a decent base beer to start things off with, at least in my mind. And, there's some breweries that have never made a non-unjuncted, brown ale or blonde ale or, whatever. So,
and they're missing the boat too, because if they make, if their concoctions, we'll use that word, are anything to write home about, and they're tasty, then the base beer is going to be just as tasty,
or write your editor about,
at least should be, tasty too for that style anyway. So they're missing the boat if they don't, if they have a beer, if they have a brown ale. A brown is one of my favorite styles. If they have a brown ale, a really good solid brown ale that they're putting a ton of adjuncts in and everything else, and it's delicious and whatever they do to it. Release the brown ale on its own too. I mean, it's a delicious style. I mean, there's no reason not to. And there are breweries that do that. That just
are. Yeah, no, but it's few and far between.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, like Founders with KBS, they released the base beer for that.
Right.
We've talked about that many times.
We have.
Did they? Cool. No, I mean I believe you. I just
I'm gonna open up this one. This is Treehouse, another Treehouse. I'm wearing a Treehouse hat too. There's a reason I'm getting a Treehouse, so they're drinking all the Treehouse.
Oh, he's trying to segue.
Are they sponsoring your show?
No, I'm segueing into something we're going to do.
He's trying to segue us into the threes.
Not yet, though.
Oh, sure,
not yet.
Not yet, but I'm just going to pour it.
He's going to. I'm sorry. He's foreshadowing the threes.
I'm foreshadowing the threes. I'm foreshadowing
terminology, right?
Exactly.
That's a writer's term, right there.
What a beautiful beer! Oh,
nailed it.
Look at that.
It is a beautiful beer. That is a beautiful beer.
That is a beautiful beer.
It's a little more manly than the colors of the beers I'm drinking.
Turn it around there. There you go. It's in an Old Nation glass right there. So, great brewery too in Williamston, Michigan. Old Nation, not Treehouse, Old Nation. But in any event, let me get the cursory lager room picture of that particular beer. Let me get my vitamin water out of the way. There we go.
So this is just so you can give it a couple of bottle caps.
A couple of bottle caps, exactly. There you go. But in any event,
with your foreshadowing, I was trying to see if I had a beer from any of the places that I picked, and I'm like lousy in beer, but not necessarily. I'm still wired up to this, this mic and earpiece contraption without having to walk away.
You're shackled.
Yeah, no, I have like a 4-foot radius around the bar right now, of which like I could be drunk for days, like just with the beer that's within arm's reach, which is again
just the cooler behind you, that old school cooler.
It's a privilege. It's a privilege.
It's an honor and a privilege.
Yeah, well, yeah,
it's an honor to sit here and look at it. How's that? It's a privilege for you, an honor for me.
That is a beautiful thing.
It is. It is absolutely gorgeous. There you go.
This was my mechanics.
Okay.
So I had a great mechanic down Neck in Newark. For those of you who are watching and are not from New Jersey, where I say down Neck, and he sold his business, and he called me up and he goes, "So I bought this fridge. I'm not giving it back. I don't need it at my house. Do you want it?" I was like, "Yeah." And so he delivered this to my house, and so now I have like a professional beer fridge.
That's amazing.
That my wife loves. She's really thrilled that we have it
because it keeps your beer out of the real fridge.
Well, no, because we also have there. Yes, but still somehow there's beer that is in the upstairs fridge, which is weird.
Bleed over.
Like I don't know.
Bleed over.
But I think they're a trade-off because the spare milk goes in here as well. And so, yeah. Yeah, so it's always fun at like 7 a.m. where it's like, oh, we need more milk. The kid needs milk, so I have to go downstairs. And then I'm like staring at the fridge, and I'm like, well, what should I drink now? She's like, it's 7 o'clock in the morning. Where's the milk?
He comes walking up with a 4-pack of carton of milk.
Yeah. I see he's got
milk. So
he's got a jug of Bolero back in there.
Jug of Bolero.
Yeah, you see the white jug. It's full of lactose.
Are those guys at dairy yet? I do have a carton beer in here.
Double of it, yeah.
And I feel like I should. I think I'm actually contractually obligated.
Contractually obligated to open it up. What is that?
Your sound guy came up with
the EWR.
He came up with one of the funniest lines at a beer festival in New Jersey. It's the Garden State Beer Festival that Mrs. Stats puts on, and Bolero was there, and Brian Cass looked at Bob Olson and told him that he needs to do a collaboration with Other Half, and it needs to be called All Lactose Everything.
And it's just milk.
You open the can and it's a glass of milk.
It's whole milk. It's whole milk.
But it's dry hopped.
That is the one can. That is the one can that you must keep cold at all times.
Yeah, that one cannot get warm. Don't get warm on that one. No.
You don't want floaters in that. So in keeping with
a lot of funny things come out of Brian's mouth, but that was one of my favorites.
In keeping with the lager room theme, fellas, this is something called.
It's the new version of the Ballinator, right?
Fluorescinator.
Yeah, Fluorescinator.
Fluorescinator. Yeah, sure. And apparently it's a Doppelbock. It's a lager beer with coffee beans where hops would go.
Coffee beans, yes. I saw the video that Augie did last week saying that basically they hopped it with coffee and then dry hopped it with coffee.
I love that Augie does these videos, but my favorite ones are the Friday afternoon ones where he is like usually wrecked and just, hey, InstaFam. But I love them because they're so sincere, and they are the fireside chat that the beer world needs right now. And anybody who knows me and listens to Steal This Beer knows just the pain that Augie inflicts on me every week, and just the way that he rips my soul apart, and then doesn't even offer me Scotch tape to put it back together. But
Scotch.
But goddamn, that guy is a good communicator, and he tells a good story, and he knows how to do it well. And so the question that I get most often when I'm out in the world, which also kills me, is what's Augie like in real life? Or how do you put up with Augie? And I was like, man, what you see is what you get. And they're like, but how do you put up with him? And I was like, because he's a great communicator. And it's like, It's a fun show to do. Like, we have two very different approaches, two very different personalities. And I think it works.
We would agree.
I would definitely agree.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Matt came up, by the way.
So if your listeners like shows that have sirens at the top of it, I might humbly suggest checking out Steal This Beer.
I think we would all say that.
We would endorse that.
Absolutely. Great show. By the way, Matt
I've not had this before, so this is 8%.
Matt came, by the way, while you look at that, Matt came up with a good name for the brewery, the collab, with the carton and all the other, collaborators, whether it's Trillium or whoever, it's Antelier is the brewery, if you will. Well, the Other Half and Bolero collaboration brewery should be called Utter Half. So, there you go. So, not mine, Matt. Obviously, that was.
And then if you guys do a small beer, you just call it Half Utter.
Half Utter. There you go.
Utter.
Half an Utter. So, all right. Well,
if you guys are going to do dark beers, I'm going to go in dark beer.
I think you should get into a dark beer.
And I'm going to go with a Tilted Barn. There's a reason I'm going with my Tilted Barn here, Johnny.
Look at you guys with the foreshadowing.
Well, it's also the shirt's a Tilted Barn shirt. And you want to segue right into it now?
Well, before we do, I got to ask you a question. There's your crawl for that one. Your shirt's a Tilted Barn shirt?
Yeah.
What shirt's mine?
I have no idea. You've worn
Is
it
that
before.
the Brewing Network?
Yeah. No.
Are you promoting another podcast network on your podcast?
No.
Oh, we promote all kinds of podcasts on our podcast.
Okay.
We'll have Justin get you a shirt.
Hey, look, that's a Tilted Barn.
It's a Tilted Barn shirt too.
Yes, have Justin send us shirts. We will definitely wear them on the show.
We'll wear them, absolutely. Until when the log room shirts come in, what we'll do is
hang on a second, fellas. I just realized my mistake here. Justin can't send you shirts because I have all of the shirts here, which would mean that I would have to send them. But that seems like a lot of work.
I'll just meet up with you one day and pick them up. How's that?
Perfect.
Actually, I think I'll be living closer to him than you will. Maybe.
Then you will. There you go. Well, one of us.
You guys know where I live. That's fine.
That's fine. So,
yeah.
In any event, why don't we segue into our top threes? We do the segment is called 33s. It's a nod to 1933, repeal of Prohibition. So we decided to do top threes because if we did top tens, it would take too long. So we're doing top threes. So we just do a top three.
Midnight, yeah.
Absolutely. So this week, our top threes is top three most scenic breweries we've visited, each of us. So why don't we start with our guest, Mr. What was one of the nicknames you came up with?
Oh, I've got the Beer Thinker.
The Beer Thinker.
Thank you. Well, from the home office in South Orange, New Jersey, the top three most scenic. So these are the top three most scenic breweries that I have been to. That's what you guys want.
That you've been to, yes.
Okay. You just channeled Letterman, didn't you?
And scenic being, I did. Scenic being what is outside of the walls of the brewery.
Outside the walls of the brewery, absolutely.
Okay, yep. So it's not like, hey, this brewery has a cool aesthetic, but it's in North Bergen, New Jersey.
Right. No.
Okay. All right. I'm just making sure. Just making sure. So the early days of New Jersey Beer Company, I remember visiting the men's room, and like. Oh shit! I don't know why that deserved the laugh. Like that was the setup, not the punchline. All right, so just be careful. But brewery, New Jersey
Augie visited the men's room on this podcast.
So New Jersey Beer Co. was such a shithole when it first opened up, and God love Matt Steinberg and what he did, and I'll forever remember like fond memories there.
Absolutely.
But I'm taking a leak, and a friend of mine calls up to me through the hole in the floor. He is on the first floor. I'm on the second floor, and he's like, "I see you." And I'm like, "Well, this is ridiculous." So anyway, so the top three scenic breweries of what's happening outside of the wall. That's not a very scenic
view for your friend.
That's not a scenic view.
So what do you want? You want me to like lead up to it?
If you want, mine are not going to be in any particular order. Dave's might be. So
what I have here on my list is Biera, which was at the top of Italy. In New York City.
Sure.
What's interesting is I now work in that building.
Cool.
There you go.
So, but again, like the view from up there was really something spectacular. You had the Flatiron Building, you had the Empire State Building. Like it was a pretty spectacular view.
It was an awesome view. I concur. That was a great view. Absolutely.
The next one would have to be Glarus Brewing in New Glarus, Wisconsin, which, again, like you have to drive a huge blacktop driveway that they have, and you're up on top of this small hill, and you get to see all of the dairyland and the farmland around you, and a little Swiss village and things like that. Like that's a fun brewery to sit out on their patio and to drink Spotted Cow, which is a farmhouse ale according to Dan Carey.
Spotted Cow is like Miller Lite.
I don't know. That's what he says. It's a farmhouse ale. I wrote an article about it once.
Dave, did you read it?
I'm going to write it down.
Sure. So then I have two others then for outside view. The first is Yazoo Brewing, which is their latest location. In just outside of Nashville, Tennessee, and they're up on this bluff overlooking a river, and they have this really nice outdoor patio, and there's wildlife and trees, and it's a fun place to drink really good beers that they're making. Sure. But Almanac Brewing in San Francisco. Okay. Or just outside of San Francisco. It's in Alameda, I believe. So it's on the other side of the bay, and it's in this old naval base. And so there's nothing in front of the brewery patio. and you get to see the San Francisco skyline across the bay as you sip and drink some really great ales. And so clearly I'm drawn to cities more than I am to farmland. But
absolutely,
but those four, especially those three of Italy, New Glarus, and Almanac, stand out in my mind.
That's awesome. I can go with the
hang on, I'm just gonna.
There you go.
Perfect. Oh, that was a nice shot. Look at that.
You like it? Yeah.
Look at that. Samurai, why don't you give us yours?
Yeah, because I'll be the counterpoint, because since John went with the city skylines, the reason I chose the Tilted Barn shirt is Tilted Barn is one of them, but also No Farms, No Beer. All three of mine are actually farm breweries. Tilted Barn being a farm brewery. I've been in the barn that was tilted. They have since opened a beautiful new space. And the beautiful new space is up on a hill.
I bought this shirt in the barn that was tilted.
In that tilted barn, right? Mm-hmm. Same here. Mm-hmm. But now it's over the hill. You can look down on the tilted barn. You can look at the pens where they have the two donkeys and various other livestock. But it's also a Christmas tree farm, which is really cool. So if you go there in December, you've got the parking lots full with some people trying to get Christmas trees, some people trying to get beer, and some families where the wife and the kids are getting Christmas trees and the husband's getting in trouble getting beer. Sure. So that's a beautiful spot. Another one is Fox Farm. Fox Farm out in Salem, Connecticut. Beautiful, fantastic beer. They just do perfect two-style, especially some of the German styles. One of my favorite Schwartz beers comes out of Fox Farm. And it's just a beautiful space, and I'm really upset that I was there during the pandemic, so I couldn't sit there and he Liz poured.
Yeah, you like that?
Yeah,
holy
good
crap.
One.
In Rhode Island, that's called a Liz pour.
But I really wish I'd been there non-pandemic, so I could have sat there outside with the barrels. You go down you drive down the street to get there. There's signs not to hit the chickens. It's great.
Leave the chickens alone.
But the number one, they were really in no particular order except for number one. Being a Jersey boy, I had to do a Jersey brewery, and I don't want to say there's a lot of Jersey breweries that have beautiful landscapes, because there are and there aren't. But having gone to high school in Jackson, I've really got to give a shout out to Screamin' Hill. That was a farm. That is a farmhouse brewery. It is a
farm around it.
Still a farm around it. You sit on the farm's property. It's just a beautiful drive to get there. Mm-hmm. Right, it's a beautiful part of that town.
About 5 minutes away from Great Adventure, actually.
Which I used to work at when I was in high school. Because if you go to Jackson Memorial High School, it is the law that you must work at Great Adventure at some point. Yeah, at some point.
Well, the guidance counselors get a kickback for every referral. So
they do.
The best part about that was because they've got the safari there, and we were the Jacksonville Jaguars, and for some reason our Jaguars black. Jackson Jaguars.
Not the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Yeah, not
Jacksonville Jaguars from Florida.
That's a professional
team. That's a different podcast. That's
different. That's your later one. But the Jackson Jaguars, for some reason, our Jaguar was black. So Great Adventure would bring the Black Panther to the football games every now and then. Okay. And they'd be down, seriously, and they'd be down on the sidelines, down by one of the end zones. And I'll tell you, neither team would throw a friggin' post pattern.
Yeah. Not getting attacked by a panther.
Yeah, big cat.
Exactly.
Hey, fellas, I hate to do this because I really want to hear Johnny's list, but I have to go because it's Tuesday evening. My wife teaches a class that begins in a few minutes, which means that I need to go upstairs and hang out with my daughter and make sure that she gets to bed in one piece. So I came for the lagers. I stayed for the stellar banter. But thanks so much for having me, guys. This was great. And Johnny, please email me your Scenic brewery list because I feel like I'm leaving, and this is the Dogfish Head show where I don't get to see the final episode, so I don't get to know.
You're gonna miss it.
Does anybody know? Did Dogfish Head make it? Are they still around? Are they still successful?
I don't know.
Nobody knows.
No one knows. If only they could find someone to carry them.
If only they could find, I mean, do we know anybody that knows anybody from Dogfish Head? I mean,
Guys, support local journalism. Support people who are creating good content that you like, and by all means, keep drinking lager. So
absolutely, keep drinking it all. John, thank you for coming on the show. We appreciate it.
Thanks, fellas.
Absolutely.
I'll see you in the pages of Pizza Today.
Absolutely. Want you to come back on at some point in the future, and the pages of Pizza Today and Ale Street, and I'll get in touch with Tony and make sure he gets you that slice.
And you need to be, and somehow or another, we got to hook up at PizzaCon.
Absolutely.
Can't wait. Yeah, you guys can be in Podcast Alley at PizzaCon. It'll be great.
Absolutely. There you go.
Thanks, fellas.
You got it, John. Thank you so much,
John. Have a good one.
Cheers.
All right. John, we are waiting on your...
There you go. Nope, I was just making sure John was leaving. That's it. Had to...
that was a pregnant pause
take care of that. We'll edit and post. There you go.
And then post.
So
the rest everyone watching live...
Everyone still watching live, ignore that 3 seconds of silence there.
And they're all like, John Holl's off the show.
No, what happens is, I'll explain it. John had to leave, so I had to actually.
There's nothing to explain.
No. I want to explain why the pregnant pause was there. What happens is when I kick him from the studio, he didn't leave. He didn't leave. I had to kick him from the studio, not intentionally, like a mean thing, but I had to kick him from the studio. So when I kicked him from the studio, a screen comes up across the whole entire screen of my computer, so I can't see anything. You can still see me because my camera's up here, but I couldn't see. So for some reason, that took my mind onto what was in front of me there, and so that's why there was a pregnant pause. So.
No one cares.
I know. Just wanted to say it.
So
I'm going to give my top threes. How's that?
Let's not disappoint John. Deliver your top three.
How long has it been since it's just been you and me at the end of a show? Months.
Augie ruined that.
Augie, yeah, that's Augie.
No, we'll blame Augie.
We'll blame Augie. Anyway, so my top threes. Here we go. I'm going to give a quick nod to a couple of runner-ups, kind of way John did it. And
one is your hat.
No.
What did you gonna do?
Hold on.
You threw another curveball.
Hold on, I'm throwing you a curveball. I love throwing you curveballs. I got to throw you a curveball at least once a show. At least once a show.
Why do we prep?
Oh no, I prep so that I can throw you a curveball. Okay.
Oh, that's right. You got to set it up.
I set it up to throw you a curveball. There you go.
Throw 3 fastballs in a row, then you toss that curveball right by me.
My number 3, I switched out a number 3, and you'll find that out in a minute. But my number 3 is...
I've given it away already.
Well, not so much. No, my number 3 was Avery Brewing in Boulder, Colorado. I mean, for nothing else, it's in Boulder, Colorado. The Rockies are all around it. You walk out in the park.
And that's the place where if your beer is cold enough, all the mountains turn blue.
Yeah. No. Yeah. If you're holding a cold beer outside on their patio, the Rocky Mountains turn blue.
Just turn blue.
There you go. Oh, Gene just commented, looks like I missed Mr. John Holl. I can leave now. LOL. Thanks, Gene. Okay.
Bye, Gene.
Bye.
Love you too.
All right.
Sure.
Anyway, but in any event, yes, Avery Brewing, great brewery, amazing scenery, amazing beer, and it goes on and on. And the brewery's huge; it's ridiculous. It goes on for miles.
But not
my top 3. And I also want to give a nod. Just missed the cut. The Alchemist in Stowe, Vermont. Beautiful scenery, a beautiful brewery. It's in Stowe, Vermont. I mean, please.
Well, before you get to your 3s, then, if we're doing some honorable mentions,
give one. Go ahead.
I want to throw Schilling out there.
Throw Schilling out there.
Schilling,
another New Hampshire brewery for you.
New Hampshire Brewing. It sits on the Housatonic, something.
Housatonic is in Connecticut, so
then it's the Moose something.
The Moose Ball River.
The Moose Ball River. Yeah, no, only when the Giants are playing.
Again, another podcast, different podcast.
But it sits right on the river. There's a red covered bridge that goes over to the other side. On the weekends, they have a farmer's market there.
Gene says, joking, of course, John's voice is so soothing to my ears. John Holl or John Me? Which one, Gene? We're curious.
Yeah, we're
on the edge of our seat. Please let us know.
No one cares.
I don't think so. Go ahead.
And it's they've got there's a big restaurant, big gray building. They've got a fireplace. They've got a patio that just sits right along the river. It's a beautiful site.
Very nice. Very nice.
Yeah.
I've never been, so at some point I will definitely have to get there.
But I'm going
to give you my top threes. One, they're all in New England. Are my top three. Number 3, my hat. Treehouse Brewing in Charlton, Massachusetts.
A beautiful parking lot.
Beautiful parking lot. No. Just the mountains.
We're back to Joni Mitchell.
Yeah, pretty much. The mountains, the trees around it. It's just where it is, how you get to it, where in proximity. It's just the vibe you get. The grounds around it too. I mean, there's a beautiful structure in back of the brewery, almost like a huge gazebo if you've never been there. Wood frame. It's beautiful. Everything about it outside the brewery, not just inside the brewery, which is also gorgeous as well. But
I should really show you the text I got from Gene.
I can imagine.
But we probably shouldn't put that on air.
No, well, you show me later. That's fine. Number 2, my number 2 brewery is in Vermont, Hill Farmstead in Greensboro, Vermont. Just a farm brewery
on my bucket list, and I am just so embarrassed that I've been in New England this whole time, not made it, and now I'm moving back to Jersey.
Hill Farmstead, just amazing. Last time I was there, I want to just let you know, last time I was there was actually in February, not this year in February, but February, and it was 66 degrees. You know what Vermont looks like when it's 66 degrees out? Especially the last mile into Hill Farmstead is a dirt road getting to the farm. So
if it's February, it's probably a lot of mud.
All mud.
Yeah.
The Jeep was covered. So, but in any event, gorgeous though. And then, and the beer is amazing. And inside the brewery there is amazing as well. And my number 1 brewery for scenery, thank you for the drum roll. Sounded more like a helicopter. But thank you anyway. In Burlington, Vermont, Foam Brewing. Foam is right on the banks of Lake Champlain. It's just you sit inside, even if you're not outside. There's a little park area, and then it's Lake Champlain. You sit inside. There's big picture windows, and you just look out onto Lake Champlain. It's absolutely gorgeous. It's stunning. It's crazy gorgeous. But anyway, those are my top 3. And there you go.
There we have it.
And we have our producer's top 3 too. He says Avery, Jester King, and Foam. Well, he concurs with 2 of them.
He hit another one of my bucket list ones, Jester King. And I was going to make it early in 2020. My son is in the Air Force. So when he was in basic, when he graduated basic, we're going to go down. That's in San Antonio. Mm-hmm. Jester King up outside of Austin. Mm-hmm. And afterwards, I had an Airbnb down in San Antonio near the base. And then afterwards, I was going to go take an Airbnb, which is actually a trailer out in the middle of the cattle land, I guess,
sure.
Where all the barbecue is. And Jester King was probably maybe 3 miles away from where I was going to have that Airbnb. And I was going to go, and pandemic hit. Everything got canceled. The graduation ceremony was online.
There you go. Well,
ruined that.
Hopefully you can make it down there. I have a plan at some point in some of the trips we have scheduled, planned in the future, a little bit of future, somewhere in the neighborhood of 2023. I
was going to say, I think we're targeting maybe 2023 for that one as well.
2023 Jester King, yeah. So
because 2022 I'm targeting Italy because my son actually got stationed at Aviano NATO Air Force Base.
Natal?
Just north of Naples.
Natal Air Force Base.
Natal Base.
Natal. That's it. And then before that, it's prenatal, right?
Prenatal.
Air Force Base.
Yeah, that's what San Antonio was, prenatal.
Prenatal, right. So, in any event, that trip will take us actually through, planned correctly, will take us actually through Asheville down to New Orleans and out to Texas.
Asheville is definitely on it. That's right. You mentioned that. Asheville is on our itinerary for next year.
There you go.
We've got an important birthday to celebrate.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do. You're going to be 25.
Again.
Actually going to be 27 and a half again.
Shush.
But in any event, well, anyway, this was great. John actually did write in really quick. I guess he jumped on to watch the end of the podcast. He said, "Nice work, fellas. Don't stay up too late."
That is a logo right there. Look, that's
a great logo.
That is, and you know what? That's what John looked like when I met him at Hunapoo, except he had a darker jacket on.
And he was a caricature too when you met him at Hunapoo. Yeah, he was actually in full caricature garb. There you go.
Well, what he was doing, he's walking around with the cardboard cutout,
holding in front of him. And
I think he was just in boxer shorts on the other side of it. Yeah.
Yeah, why not? But in any event, Dave will not be staying up too late. I will, however, because in about 39 minutes, the sports podcast starts. And we're doing it tonight. Special Tuesday night sports podcast that we're doing this evening. So,
no programming note.
Go ahead.
Next week, are we going to 6:30 next week?
We're going starting next week. We're going to 6:30. Yes.
So anybody who didn't bail on us after John left, mark it down. It'll be 6:30 next week, and we know who the guest is, but we're not going to ruin it yet, are we?
We're not going to let you know. Actually, why not? Let's tell them.
Why not?
We're going to have we know who they're.
So a place that is near and dear to both mine and John's heart. One of our favorite places on the planet.
Probably.
Yeah, maybe. Is the Cloverleaf Tavern. And the Cloverleaf Tavern is operated in Caldwell, New Jersey. He's operated by one of our favorite human beings in Caldwell, New Jersey. Mm-hmm. Maybe the planet. Ryan Dorchek.
He's certainly one of my favorite human beings in Caldwell, New Jersey. And we may or may not get into that next week, but we'll let that go for now.
Yeah, we'll probably get into it. If I know you, we'll get into it.
I'm gonna leave that one to Ryan. So,
but Ryan Dorchek will be on the show next week. We're really looking forward to it. We've both known him for quite a while. Mm-hmm. And the Cloverleaf. If you haven't been to the Cloverleaf, you got to get to the Cloverleaf. It's been around. What? It's going on 85 years.
More than that now. It was 85 a couple years ago. Yeah.
I hit 80. Actually, you know what?
Actually, it's probably getting close to it was 1930. 1933. So it's 30. It's 87 years. 88 years.
Well, don't do the math. We've had a strong, fast rule on this show.
Yeah, we don't do math. We leave that to Brian. We leave the math to Brian. So, yeah, Brian, how long has Cloverleaf been around? If you can get it before the next 3 minutes, if you can get it before Matt before the next 3 minutes, at least before next week, let us know.
They both tuned out.
No, they're still watching.
Oh, are they? So, at any rate, so we'll ask Ryan. Ryan will know.
I hope he will,
because he's probably got shirts printed already.
It's his family, so it's not like it's not like he bought it last week.
What was his? Was his grandfather, or great grandfather? We'll ask Ryan.
Mm-hmm. So
we'll ask him about the wheelbarrow.
We'll ask him about all of it. So Tune in next week. There you go. I knew we'd get to it. Established 1933. There you go. So it's almost 90 years. 88 years.
Yeah.
I said it was 87, 88, right? I said that.
You did. You got that one.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Brian.
Thank you, Brian. So he confirmed where I was kind of headed, but in any event, so
we'll give him a bonus, which is a percentage of his salary.
We'll give him. You know what? Let's give him 20% of his salary.
There we go. As a bonus for that one.
As a bonus for that one. There you go. That works for me. All right. Anyway, let's thank big time. Thank Mr. John Holl for coming on. You have any other nicknames? You come up with another one?
No, there was just the three, and still my favorite is the Fairly Important Hall.
Fairly Important Hall.
That was based on something he said, but no, actually, I really think
important.
Actually, frankly, I think Writer Boy John was
Writer Boy John.
Writer Boy. We got to go with Writer Boy John.
Writer Boy John. Okay. Yeah. So what are the three? What were the three? It was Fairly Important Hall, Writer Boy John, and what was the other one?
And the third one was just lame, the Beer Thinker, because he was talking about the other podcast he does.
The Beer Thinker, right?
Drink beer, think beer.
Tell you what, anybody watching this now, and before we end, anybody watching this on a replay, anybody listening to this on a podcast,
please submit.
Just the audio. Submit if you like one of those. Once again, Fairly Important Hall, the Beer Thinker, or Writer Boy John. If you like one of those three, let us know which one you like. If you have any other suggestions, write that in as well. We will let Mr. John Holl know. We will pick one, and we will announce it either on this podcast and I'm sure he will announce it on Steelers Beer, so we can get him to figure that out, one or the other. And if he won't announce it on Steelers Beer, I'm sure we can get Augie to announce it on Steelers Beer. So
no, because it wasn't Augie's idea. He won't announce anything that's not his idea.
That's true. Well, we can make it Augie's idea, and then we can go from there.
Yeah, it can be done.
We can figure it out. We'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. All right. But anyway, thank you so much for John Holl. Thank you so much, John Holl, for coming on the show.
Cue outro speech.
Cue outro speech. Cheers. By the way, this beer, I just want to I don't know if you heard me before while everybody was talking. This beer is ridiculously, insanely good. It's so good.
And you've got another one.
And I have another can, so don't worry. I'll say
Thank you. And this one, what I like about this one is adjunct with cocoa and vanilla, but it's not adjunct to the point where it's a cocoa vanilla porter.
Okay.
It is a porter first.
It's porter first. Okay.
And that's the one thing I've always appreciated
Smooth,
about.
A little lighter.
No, this has got some body to it for a porter.
So it's a heavier porter.
It would be like
Baltic porter.
Anytime that you have a stout and you think that it's a little too light bodied for a stout, but it's still
it's still a stout.
Yeah, but this is definitely a nice body for a porter.
It's the opposite. Well, something that's a little more roasty with a little bit more nuance and a little more characteristic to it.
But that's the thing that's beautiful. The beautiful thing about this is the roasts they really shine. Right. The cocoa and the vanilla are the supporting cast.
Right.
Where so many breweries have that. Well, if we're going to spend all this money on the adjuncts, we want the adjuncts to really shine in the beer. And it's like, no, let the beer shine. Let the adjunct support. We were talking about it earlier. The base beer needs to be good, right?
Right. You're not making vanilla coconut juice. You're making a beer.
Yep.
Make the porter and let the vanilla and the coconut just be subtle. Just embellish what's already good.
Well, it's cocoa nibs, not coconut, but the point is taken.
Coconut. I'm sorry.
No, I should say
cocoa nibs.
Cacao nibs.
Cacao nibs.
Cacao nibs. But and this is what I've always appreciated about Tilted Barn is they know their craft.
Oh no, absolutely.
They respect the liquid, and the style that they started off with. And I'm not sure if it's I don't know if the base beer is the porter that's named after one of the pups. It might be. It's got that. I can't remember which pup that would be.
I couldn't tell you. I'm not sure.
Well, because they've got two of their beers are named after the labs. They've got the yellow lab and the chocolate lab.
Well, Winter Soul is this beer. So what's the base beer for Winter Soul?
That's what I'm trying to think of because it's named after the. And I'm trying. My brain's going to Jake because I'm thinking of Lazy Jake from.
Tupelo is a stout, right?
Tupelo, that's the one.
That's the one. Tupelo? I thought it was a stout. It's a porter. It might be porter.
It might be porter.
It might be porter.
I'm going to look this up, and I'm going to beat Brian.
Why don't you look it up? Brian, you're on the clock. Is Tupelo a stout or a porter? Let's go. Come on. Let's see who gets it first, Dave or Brian. Come on. Okay, that's just loud.
It is a stout. It is a stout. You were correct.
I am correct. It was a stout.
You were correct. So Tupelo is not the base of this.
Tupelo is not the base of that beer.
But it's a beautiful roasty porter. So the fact that it's a beautiful roasty porter with a nice body to it, you can understand my confusion. Absolutely.
And this beer right here, this Moment of Clarity, that's the nose. It's like maple and chocolate, like insane. I mean, it's all a little bit of roasty coffee, but there's like a ton of maple and chocolate in it, but not overwhelming. Like there's a bunch of it, but not overwhelming. And the coffee really shines through too. But it's like the flavor in it is. It's just like maple candies. It's so good.
Really?
Yeah. It's crazy.
But it can't be as much maple as that smug beer I gave you.
No.
There's nothing more other than maple syrup. I don't think there's anything more maple than that beer.
No.
What was that? Cabin Fever. Yeah.
Cabin Fever. Oof. And I'm only going off of what you said because I have not had it yet.
You haven't opened it?
I'm opening it next week on the show.
I thought you were going to go all Jersey on the next show.
I'm going one Jersey, one New England on the show because you're coming back and going go back and forth and So
kind of like that EWRMIA thing.
Right, exactly. So that's where
and then they flipped it MIA
EWR exactly.
Yes.
So and then Brian said with the lager I had no chance. The lag.
Oh, so
the lag. Or,
okay, got it.
See where he went there? See where he went?
See where he went there. So your Wi-Fi issues are not our problem, Brian.
There you go. It was the lag. You were, by the time I asked Brian to check, you were already looking for it. So that's the lag he's talking about.
Oh, I know exactly what he's talking about. I only said that because he's going to now feel the need to defend that. We'll get a comment.
There you go. All right. Well, we'll wrap the show up for today on that note. We want to thank everybody for watching. And for those of you just listening to the audio podcast, thanks for listening. Don't forget to visit our website, www.lagerroom.com. That's LAGEROOM.com. And please remember, like us and follow us on all of our social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and our YouTube channel. All of them are at The Lager Room. Remember, we go live with the video podcast on both Facebook and YouTube every Tuesday at 6:30 starting next week.
Starting next week,
6:30 p.m. starting next week. For those of you that want to just listen to the audio podcast, you can do so on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, TuneIn, and Stitcher. They're usually available by Thursday on those services from the podcast that we do on Tuesday.
Depends on how much editing John needs to do.
Exactly. And for those of you that, and if you haven't done so already, please subscribe to one or more of those feeds and you'll never miss a show. Right, Dave?
I've got one. I think I've Spotify.
Spotify.
Yeah, I think Spotify. I don't have Stitcher or TuneIn.
It's funny to re-listen to a show that you already did. So I understand.
I have not listened to any of our shows.
I think you should.
Why?
Well, they're fun. No. Well, look. There's a reason to listen to them, right? Because we want other people to listen to them. So I think you should listen to them too. I mean, if you're not listening to them, I listen to them. If you're not listening to them, we can't make other people listen to them. We can't make anybody listen to them, but we want to suggest it and help them along with, hey, you know what? This is a great show. Listen to it. So
hey, 5 stars would listen again.
5 stars would listen again. Absolutely. Anyway, again, thanks for following along with us. Thank you, John Holl, for coming on the show. It was awesome. We thank you so much for joining us tonight. And
I will read more of your stuff.
And Dave's going to read more of your stuff. I do read your stuff, so I don't have to read more. I just have to keep reading your stuff. Dave has to,
I got to catch up.
Step it up a little bit. That's all. Anyway, have a great rest of your week. Have a wonderful weekend and enjoy, folks. Cheers. We'll talk to you soon. Take care.
Cheers, guys. Cheers, Joe.
They found him face down in his waffles, maple syrup dripping from his fake rub. Who did he see when he heard who was there? Now it seems that he shit out of luck. This little penny went to market. This little piggy stayed home. This little piggy's eating corned beef in the back of a Ford Kentucky.